What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a weekly show where we talk about video games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
How's it going?
And if it's your first time listening, thanks for joining us. You can subscribe to the show across podcast services such as iTunes or SoundCloud, as well as our YouTube channel where you can watch the video version of each episode. Have thoughts, questions, or suggestions? Email us at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com or find us online at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Finally, we are a completely listener-supported show, so if you're really enjoying and loving what we're creating, please check out our Patreon page where you can support the show, and in return, we'll give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release and access to our private Team Chat Podcast Discord server. If not, that's totally fine. We'll keep making the show week after week and bringing you great gaming content. And find out more at patreon.com/teamchatpodcast. And a special thank you to all our current patrons who help make Team Chat Podcast possible. Gonna say, Mogan, it feels good to be back recording.
It does feel good to be back.
It always feels weird whenever we have to like pre-record and then there's like a lull for like this time it was like 2 weeks or something.
It's weird. It's always weird. And then you come back and you just feel like all off. You're like, this isn't right.
But still, it always feels good to come back and sit at the table, talk about some great games.
Indeed. I like that we're both accidentally matching green coffee mugs today.
It's doing a nice early morning recording, which is nice to do every once in a while rather than the weeknight.
I often wish that we both had night jobs so that we could always record in the morning. Because I feel like that's where I'm at my best.
See, sometimes I do, and other times I feel like this morning, I'm assuming because of all the travel and work that I've been doing, like I was kind of dragging this morning. Kind of just didn't want to really get out of bed and do my thing. But then other times at night, I don't know, I sometimes feel like more like, it's the end of the day, been working, feels good, but now it's time to wrap up the day with like that.
I don't think I ever have that feeling at night.
It's just when, it's a sense of pride and accomplishment that EA desires that I have through my everyday, but
when I get to the end of the day, in most cases, I'm like, oh, thank God, video games. Oh, Jesus.
Well, no, so that's what I mean. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to play them. But I don't know. Sometimes in the morning, I do feel like more alert and just like ready to take on the day.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like a squirrel.
But also, we are both being aided by coffee this morning. So that
true.
says something. But anyway.
But mine is every day. Yours is only sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm used to it.
All right, but before we get into the main topic of today's show, let's go ahead and do a moment with Mogan.
Oh, yes, we do
get a little bit of news, see what's coming up in the upcoming update releases.
Soons and whatnot.
I'm tripping all over myself.
So in comparison to April, which just real quick, because we were out for a lot of April, I just want to circle back to the end of the month real quick. In case you missed it, God of War for the PS4 did come out, along with the Nintendo Labo.
Yes.
So I've seen a couple of video reviews and people doing unboxings of the Labo. It looks
unboxing of the God
fun.
of War Stonemason edition, which you can check out on our channel on youtube.com.
Exactly. So if you missed the end of April, those were really kind of like the two big things that came out.
Which, man, if I had been Nintendo, I would have moved the release date of the Labo.
Yeah.
It got, I've seen people do stuff with it and putting out videos and like messing around with the creations, building the different sets and stuff like that. But it's just getting swamped by God of War. I mean, the amount of God of War news to Labo news is
that
very
might just
imbalanced.
Be your news feed though, because they're obviously tailored to very different audiences. So the kind of sources that you follow are probably going to naturally bias.
I'm following Game Informer, Polygon, all the big ones.
Yeah, all the big ones. Exactly. That's the problem.
It's not like Nintendo specific ones, I guess.
All right. And then in comparison to April, May is freaking jam-packed with releases. So bear with us. This is going to be kind of a long one. All right. So we have Battlezone Gold Edition, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. These are all going to be May 1st here at the beginning. We have Outbreak, The Nightmare Chronicles, a rare Xbox One exclusive.
Ooh, wait. Whoa. Outbreak. That's not the horror. What am I on? Outlast. I'm thinking of Outlast.
But isn't Outbreak also kind of like horror based?
I mean, it sounds like it.
It sounds like it. I mean, it's the freaking Nightmare Chronicles. Come on.
I mean, I was getting it confused with
but they're not the same thing. Okay. We have Super Mega Baseball 2. Oh boy, for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and those were all May 1st.
Sounds fun.
May 2nd, we have Coffee Crisis for PC. Game I know absolutely zero things about.
I'm assuming it's going to be just like a shop management kind of game.
Who knows? And then May 3rd, we have Total War Saga Thrones of Britannia for PC. May 4th, we have City of Brass for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And the last one...
Which that one looks pretty interesting because
City of Brass?
City of Brass. It kind of looks Bioshock-ish.
Ooh, that sounds
Might
cool.
have to check that one out a little bit.
And then May 4th, we have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Switch. I know that that's one of the rare Switch games you are actually excited about.
I'm very excited. I mean, I know it's just a port from the Wii U version, but it's
But
Donkey
they
Kong.
added new stuff. You can be on a surfboard now.
I know.
It's way
with
cooler.
The new Crazy Kong.
You'll have to let me know how it is. I probably won't get it myself.
I mean, I don't know when I'm going to get it necessarily because I just got
You just got God of War.
Yeah.
You're going to be occupied.
I need to get through that.
Yeah, you're going to be occupado. And then there's a whole bejesus ton of stuff coming out for the rest of the month, which we will save for next time.
Great. Excellent. So speaking of God of War and all that stuff, that is the topic of today's episode. I'll be doing my first impressions of God of War. Have not beaten through the game yet. Have not gotten through enough to give a full-blown review of everything. But I have enough to understand the mechanics, gameplay, story, feel, look, all that fun stuff. So I'll be going through that. But before we get to all that stuff, we are going to have a review that was given to us by Bro Mogan.
Boo.
Of Celeste, and Mogan is going to read that one. Celeste with a switch, and Mogan's going to read that for us.
Okay. Hi, TCP.
Hi.
Not to be outdone by Cody's Monster Hunter review, I'd like to submit my own review of one of the premier indie games of 2018 and one of my new favorite 2D platformers, Celeste. I feel like I'm not getting his voice right. He sounds more like this. He is really unpleasant to talk to. I'm just kidding. He's really not. Anyways, Celeste's premise is simple. It's a 2D retro-style indie platforming game about climbing a mountain. Celeste Mountain, to be exact. The game is split into several chapters, each of which involves a bunch of rooms full of platforming challenges. However, as you push your way through the platforming challenges and meet some of the game's few but charming NPCs, you'll find that the game is about more than just a mountain. The main story is fairly short, so I'll leave it at that in the interest of being spoiler-free.
Thank you.
Like the premise, the game's mechanics are also simple. You get a jump, including wall jumps. You can grab onto and climb walls, and you have an 8-directional dash that you can use either on ground or in the air. 8 directions, that's too many.
Too many directions.
Yeah, that's too many.
That's
basically a radial. So it's all of your 4 primary directions and the diagonals.
Which seems like those always mess me up.
The
Especially the
diagonals
diagonal
kill
ones are
me,
so
I
hard.
know,
Because
I'm so
you have to be
bad
so
at 'em.
precise at the angle of how
Yeah.
you push the stick.
Yeah. Anyways, where was I? Lost my space. Including wall jumps, you have an 8-directional dash that you can use either on ground or in the air. That's it, just 3 buttons. Of course, the game finds tons of creative platforms, obstacles, and mechanics to keep things interesting. Aesthetically, Celeste is a modern take on old school platformers. The graphics are 8-bit style, but with bright, vibrant colors and smooth animations. The music, which, by the way, is phenomenal, also has an 8-bit sounding yet still modern feel to it. Even outside the music, the sound design as a whole is top tier. Obviously, it's hard to describe sounds over email, so just trust me on this one. Let me take a quick
Little sip.
Now, on to the fun stuff. Also, this is where his text gets suddenly
that.
smaller.
He changed the
What
font
did
or
he
something.
do?
It's like he copy and pasted it. I bet this is did he plagiarize this?
He may have.
Just
we
copy and paste
we
it from,
do know that
Wikipedia?
he's really unreliable and a frequent liar. Now on
For
to
those listening for the first time, this is Mogan's brother.
yeah,
So
this is my actual brother.
not just being a dick for him.
No, we're just being huge dicks. Okay, now on to the fun stuff. Celeste is brutally, relentlessly hard, boasting some of the most challenging and by extension rewarding platforming challenges I've ever seen. The challenge of Celeste lies in how you manage your resources, as you only get 1 jump and 1 dash each time you leave the ground.
Ooh.
So if you use your jump and dash too early while you're jumping on walls and dodging spikes, you may find yourself plunging to your death. Celeste also requires more planning ahead than your typical platformer. If you just jump in willy-nilly, you're going to have a bad time. But at the end of the day, Celeste is doable. It takes patience and practice, but the game is never unfair. That said, for those who want a more casual or story-based experience, the game does have an assist mode, which allows you to tweak some of the game's settings to make it more accessible. The devs are quite clear this isn't how they want you to play the game, but understand that every player is different and suggest assist mode if the game is inaccessible to you due to its difficulty. Without delving into the story too much, I'll corroborate this by saying that Celeste's difficulty is an important part of its narrative. So that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Cool.
In the midst of all these challenges, you also have plenty of optional collectibles to further test your platforming skills. You'll find strawberries, the game's easy collectibles that usually float in plain sight but require an extra precarious path through a room, B-sides, remixed extra hard versions of each chapter, and, if you're really clever, crystal hearts, which require some exceptionally creative thinking to find. Parentheses, there's no shame in using a guide for some of the crystal hearts, which means that's what he did. Even with hindsight, I don't think I would have found all of them without the internet. If you stick to the main story and don't go for many collectibles, you'll find Celeste a pretty short game, maybe 5 to 8 hours. But given the amount of extra content, I've already spent 25 hours with still more to do. I find this to be a huge plus, as you can enjoy the story in a matter of days, but spend weeks delving into the B-sides and finding all of the collectibles. Every part of the game, whether it's the aesthetics, the mechanics, or the narrative, seems simple at first, but rewards players for taking the extra time to explore every nook and cranny of Celeste Mountain. To summarize, I absolutely adore this game. The pacing is immaculate, the challenge is rewarding, the soundtrack incredible, and visuals gorgeous, and the characters charming. That was too many ands, Andrew. I'll fix it for him. The pacing is immaculate, the challenge is rewarding, the soundtrack incredible, visuals gorgeous, there you go, and the characters charming. Bad grammar. While I tried to keep this review somewhat short, I actually deleted a few paragraphs, believe it or not. I could spend hours more gushing about how Celeste nails absolutely everything. I'm sure I could find some nitpick here or there if I tried, but I honestly can't think of a single true flaw of the game. Celeste is 2D platforming at its finest and only $20.
Not bad.
Bro mode.
Not bad at all.
$20, that's chump change in modern gaming.
There you go. Yeah, no. Games pushing at 60 with the season pass, it just gets more and more expensive. But sitting at a solid $20, that's not bad at all. But thank you, Bro Mogan, for writing in with that excellent review of Celeste.
I'm still butthurt about the use of season pass as like language for what are basically just paid forever add-ons to a game.
Yeah,
just call it add-on content.
Well,
or DLC.
I get now with, especially as we're getting into the games that are games as a service, like For Honor, Rainbow Siege 6. I can more understand that because they're going to put out more content and a little bit more. I'm getting more forgiving of season passes for that reason.
But for example, at the end of the season, does the content go away?
No, it stays.
That's my point. It's not a season pass if it never goes away.
But I mean, the whole thing too of like these games that have like the new, like you'll buy the year 2 season pass, so that gives you all the stuff. If you're going to play the game and you're going to be super into the game and you know you're going to want all the stuff that comes with the game, then it makes sense if they're going to release this new content rather than paying for each individual piece at its individually, because then that's going to be more expensive. So I understand
feel like they could call it an all access pass instead.
Yeah. But the thing is though too, because we're now, I don't understand season pass for like Call of Duty. There's only going to be 1 year of DLC for Call of Duty. They're going to, before the new game comes out. So that, like, I don't understand that. Just call it like a DLC pack or something like that.
That's what I'm saying.
But season pass for games like For Honor, Rainbow Six that do have seasons or years, like I get that because they're going to like, here's our plan for all of year 2 and the new content that you're going to get in year 2. So I kind of get that. It's a little different of a usage, I would say. Well, now we're ready to jump into my first impressions of God of War. As you can see, we took a little pause to add in my little statue. Yeah, we had to put this in. Got the God of War Stonemason edition. Like I said, there's an unboxing on our YouTube channel. You can go check that out. But so felt like the set needed a little bit extra God of War decor. So we got
a little bit of flair.
Yeah, a little bit. So we got this, and then the little, I don't know if you can see him on the camera or not, but the little troll carving dude.
This is my favorite. This is my buddy. I don't care about any of what's happening here in the middle. I care about this guy. I hope you can see him. He's so cute. Teeny tiny. I've been informed he is not this small in game.
No, he is massive in the game and very hard because they're apparently okay.
So let's get right into it then.
Let's just get right into this.
You organize your thoughts. I'm going to sit here and play with my dolls.
So here's the thing. Obviously, this is my first impressions, not full review. It's just what I've experienced in the game so far. Obviously, I'm going to not say any spoilers. The only story that I'm going to say right now. Game starts off. You're obviously in Norse, so Scandinavia.
You're in Norseland. Let's call it that.
Norseland.
Yes. Norseland.
And so you're there. So obviously, it's a completely different setting than older God of War games, where we're set in Greece. But so you're here, you have, in the time in between leaving Greece and coming to Scandinavia, you have married Kratos, you as Kratos have married and had a son, Atreus.
Travis.
As the game begins though, and you've seen this from the trailers and everything, so I'm not giving anything away here, Kratos' wife has passed away. So it begins with her funeral and then Kratos deciding that he needs to take her ashes to the top of this mountain to perform some like ritual to let her be like one with the gods, I'm believing. So I don't know yet if at this point if his wife was a god or not. I have not got far enough.
Okay.
I'm thinking she might have been. But so here's the thing about this that kind of leads into the story. Kratos is hiding the fact that he is a god. He is like trying to live out a peaceful existence. It's been so long since I've played God of War 3. I don't necessarily remember how that one ends, but I mean, all the previous God of War games have been built up around the fact that he's just angry. He's he's mad. He uses his rage. You know, he was tricked by the gods into killing his first wife and daughter way back in the beginning of the games, and that's why he's like covered in their ash. That's why he's like this like ashy white all the time, and so he's obviously he was tricked by the gods into doing that. So that started this vendetta of revenge against the gods that eventually begins with him killing Ares in the first God of War to become the God of War. And then eventually just on and on, he just keeps getting pissed off by gods.
So just for anyone
more.
who's unfamiliar with God of War, he is in fact a god himself.
He's a demigod.
Yes. Which makes no sense. Like if he killed Ares, by extension, he should just be
and that's
like
what happens. He was originally like demigod, killed a god, and then now they're like,
he is a god.
Yeah.
Then why'd you correct me?
Because that's how I wanted to have the beginning of that's how he starts off. So anyway, they go on this quest to take the beginning of the mountain, to take her ashes to the mountain.
Which mountain?
Honestly, they just call it the mountain.
Oh. Descriptive.
I might have missed the name, but yeah, it's they say this is like we're going to the mountain, and so obviously that begins your quest. But so this is the interesting thing that is about this. So like I said, Kratos is trying to hide his anger. He also now has his son Atreus that he's training and kind of seems separate from. Like he's
emotionally distant.
Yes, there have been several points in the beginning of the game where Atreus will do something well. Like either listening to Kratos' instruction on how to fire his bow and how to hunt and how to fight and things like that. Because obviously with all the creatures and beings that they come across, Atreus has to like throw in. And that's a big part of the gameplay that I'll get to. He has to be a part of this and help Kratos. But obviously he's a young boy. He doesn't
He's
learn.
Like what, 12?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. And so he has to, and so you see all these moments where Kratos like reaches out to like at the very beginning point, and again, not really a spoiler here, he kills a deer hunting. And like he had missed before, and then but then the second time he took his time, was able to kill the deer, and like he's like looking at the deer, and then he like wounds the deer, and then he has to finish it with his knife. And it was a hard thing for him, but he was able to do it because, you know, it's obviously this animal that's struggling, and he doesn't, you know, he's a young boy. He's not used to having to do that yet. And so, but like so like Atreus was like looking and like kind of like stroking the deer after it was dead and all that. And like Kratos like puts out his hand to like be a congratulatory like pat on the back or something like that. And you just see him like, nope, you know, and so you're not quite sure why that is. And yet, because I'm assuming it's just Kratos is trying to keep this distance because he knows, I'm interpreting it as Kratos is trying to keep this distance because he knows what he is and he doesn't want that to be, like harm to come to Atreus because of that.
Does
so he doesn't
Travis know that his dad is a god?
I'm going to insist for the duration of this episode that you call him by his real name, Atreus.
I'll call him Trevor. We'll compromise.
It's not a compromise. It's not any better. But anyway, so there's a lot of things like that which have really stood out to me as a difference from the original games to this one. Just in how reserved Kratos is. But it's also this interesting thing because, like I said, Atreus doesn't know that he's a god, but he's still seeing him fight all these mythical creatures. And this has been the confusion for me a little bit, is that I'm like, but he doesn't know he's a god, but like he's obviously like kicking ass and taking names. But I think it's because from the story, what I've determined is there was some sort of event, or like they've been living this like hermitized life. So I don't think Atreus has seen other men. I think
just like human people.
Yeah, he just hasn't. I think they've just been in this seclusion because he asks him. He's like, at one point, he's like, "Will we see other men?" And Kratos is like, "I mean, if we do, they're probably not going to be friends." So you know, it's this whole thing. So I'm wondering. I'm looking very forward to seeing how it comes about that when Atreus learns that Kratos is a god.
I have kind of a stupid question.
Okay.
Does the game actually start in Scandinavia? Like
yes.
So you're never.
So
in
here's
Greece.
the thing. This is the thing I'm going to shout out that makes this game amazing so far. Not a single black screen, loading screen to be seen. Unless you die and it has to like restart a checkpoint. Then obviously there's a load screen there.
Oh, man.
Everything Just nothing. So the game starts. So this is the cool thing. Game starts. You're having your like main screen, and you're seeing Kratos standing there, like holding his axe, which is different too. He doesn't have his blades of Olympus. He has the axe.
Much like
the Leviathan
Lara
axe.
Croft Tomb Raider, as
Yeah.
we've discussed.
Mhm. Got that pickaxe. But he's like standing there in front of a tree. And you have like the selection. So like you choose your difficulty, go through the initial like game setup things. And as soon as you hit OK, confirm, Kratos, the menu options go away. Kratos pulls the axe back and starts chopping down the tree, and that's the beginning of the game. Not even a load screen there.
Very nice.
And so, like, it's
Style
so crazy.
points.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. The game, technically, artistically, all that stuff is fantastic. It's like out of this world how smooth it is, and I'm not even seeing like glitches or like pauses where you think the game's loading. It's just smooth and continuous.
So no
it's
stuttering
ridiculous.
even.
Yeah, no.
And that's even when we don't have PS4 Pros.
Exactly. It's incredible.
That's
I'm
very
loving
nice.
it. And so that's just some of the more technical aspects that I'm loving so far. Some things they're keeping the same. There are location puzzles. Like you have to kind of figure out like, I need to get from point A to point B, but there's like a door blocking this way that I can't open unless I pull this chain that I then have to somehow lock in place some way to get, so there's a lot of different stuff like that.
Much like Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah. I mean, those games kind of have similar things in that regard. Like I call them location puzzles. And so there's a little bit of that, which were prevalent in the original series. Like one of the ones that I remember because it took me so long to do it is in the original God of War. There's a section where the floor was completely covered in spikes.
I thought for sure you were going to say lava, and I was going to be like, that's the
floor is
best.
lava? No, just spikes. And you had to pull this lever to lower the spikes, but the lever was timed. So then you had to take this crate and push it like across the floor and get it to the other side before the timer ran off so you could jump up to get all this other stuff. So that was like one of the ones I remember. So I've ran into some things like this. There's been this one where you had to take his axe and throw it, which is something you can do in this one, which is awesome. Get into that a little bit more later. But you have to throw the axe into this spin wheel. So it spins it and it raises this platform that has spikes underneath it. And so you're like, okay, well, obviously I'm going to have to get from point A to point B without these spikes going.
Falling on you.
And so you have to like throw the axe, recall the axe, throw the axe, recall the axe to pull it up as high up as it can go. Then you have to run under it, fight some guys, and then like freeze it on the other side so Atreus can come over and all this other stuff. They can be complex, but they're not so hard that it's annoying. It like takes a little bit to like figure out. For me as not a huge fan of puzzles. Puzzle games and stuff like that. Like it takes a little bit to kind of like figure out the initial mechanic, but then you're like, I got it, and you can figure it out. So it's got some great location puzzles. It also changes up a little bit here how you handle chests. Like in the old games, there were chests, but the chests would either grant you health, your magic, or your orbs, which you could then use the orbs to upgrade your weapons or magical abilities.
Oh, so that's your skill tree.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But see, in the original God of War games, the skill tree was basically like you got these 4 magical abilities and I think 4 weapons usually. And so you would and that was pretty much it. You could upgrade their level. So like it will now do more damage. It will now do this. It might unlock this move, but it wasn't like much a tree as much as a dial wheel that you're just like,
okay.
I want to upgrade this one this time, this one this time, this one this time. And sometimes the chest would also contain things that would allow you to upgrade your health bar or your magic bar or your the duration of your Spartan Rage, which is like your
kind of like your stamina
ultimate
bar.
Yeah. Well, no, Spartan Rage is like your ultimate thing. Like you have to charge it up by doing in combat, then you can activate it, and then he'll just do like massive damage for a short amount of time.
Gotcha.
Unlock some different moves and stuff like that. So that has remained the same a little bit, except now there still are chests, but chests only contain like the currency hack silver, or they'll have like armor upgrades, crafting materials, things like that, which is different from the old games. There wasn't a crafting aspect at all in the older ones. Now, health, rage, and magic, which I haven't got to, but there are magic abilities later, are in health stones that you'll just find on the ground, and you'll have to you'll crush them or something like that, and like a burst of like healing aura or whatever will go and like
is it green?
Give you life. Yeah, it's green.
Oh, thank God. Because if it's not green, it's not healing.
No, but it's green. It's like a red orange, like fiery color for the Spartan Rage, and then and stuff like that. So I thought that's a nice addition. And plus, too, it's kind of a fun thing when you stomp them to activate the Hellstone or whatever. If there are enemies nearby, it kind of like staggers them because it's like a blowback kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. I like that almost no modern game is willing to just use the term gold. Just call it like they refuse.
They always have something.
They won't just call it
Hack
gold
silver
or
in this
money.
one.
It always has
credits.
to be something stupid and
Yeah.
weird. In Monster Hunter World, it's called Zenny instead. I know, right?
Zenny?
It's so stupid.
That sounds real
it's
dumb.
so dumb. But yeah,
You're
I just
stupid Monster Hunter fans.
I just think that's so funny that modern developers refuse. They just won't be basic and call it gold. And it's like, bro, just call it money. We're fine with that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what gold is. It's cool.
It's true. But so obviously, before I get too much into I feel like I do need to take a step back and address the major differences of this, which are that the game is completely different in look, tone, and feel. There are these things like I'm talking about with like the chest, the health stones that I see that they keep intact, that are kind of carryovers, but modified carryovers from the older games. But obviously, this one is a third-person view. It's a linear open world. There is room for exploration, but it's very confined. You still have like this path. It's not hard to get off of this path because
So you don't have like Breath of the Wild rules where you can it's not like Skyrim where you can just go crazy.
You like head down this path in the forest and you're going through there. You can there are some like side areas you can go into, but you're not going to be able to just derp around forever on this massive world and just ignore everything. But that's very different from the older games, which were 3D, but like from the side. You're like seeing Kratos go, you have this 3D camera, but you're not locked into the third person view. Which you're not locked. Like you can move the camera around Kratos and like see the front of him and stuff like that. But when you're actually like moving and stuff, you're locked behind. It's kind of in that locked third person. So that's a big major difference. Obviously the tone, you're getting this more subdued Kratos, like I said, who's trying to like hide himself in this world, but now has this situation where he's probably going to become uncovered in what he really is. And so he's worried about how that's going to interfere with his relationship with his son. How will this knowing of this affect his son's life? Or, because obviously they're gods in Scandinavia. I'm assuming he's going to have to get down and dirty with those.
I'm excited to hear when you first encounter like your first Scandinavian god. Do you know what it is?
So
have you encountered one yet?
Minor spoiler. Yes. You encounter one very early on. And it is ridiculously cool. The fight.
Do you actually fight them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's ridiculously cool.
Tell me who it is.
I honestly don't remember he's just the stranger right now. That's what he's called. It's just the stranger. You're getting clues to who you think he was.
I bet
but you're
it's
getting
Odin.
This stuff called the stranger.
Odin.
But no, it's just like this ridiculous fight where he's using his god powers, you're using yours. And it's like for being so early on and just like all these like blocking and attacking and it was ridiculous.
So it's kind of like your practice boss battle, sort of.
Kind of.
Just
Before that,
you
battled a troll.
System.
Yeah, you battled a troll.
Guys?
Yeah, and
my
it was so hard.
Love him.
But no, so this is the thing. I don't like when everybody was getting their like pre-release copies and like the big outlets and everything. Greg Miller of Kind of Fine, he said that he's like, I don't want to go into spoilers, but the first big fight is like the most superhero-esque fight I've ever had in a video game. And I am one to agree. It was ridiculous how well, and again, like I said, it's this very smooth thing. So you're just doing this cutscene, and then all of a sudden you're just in a huge fight. You didn't have to load up. There's no no load screen anywhere. So the whole thing seems incredibly fluid and smooth. And the combat mechanics work together so well to just create this truly epic experience. And I'm like, this is only in the beginning of the game. This is crazy. Back to no spoilers.
I'm going to look this up.
So
see what he looks like.
Yeah, just do the Stranger God of War.
That's what I did.
Okay, cool.
Oh, he's puny.
See, but don't give away too much now. All these people who want to know.
Is that him? Does that guy look familiar?
Yeah, that's him.
Well, that's the guy from freaking Far Cry 5.
It does kind of look like
it. It kind of looks like him.
But anyway, so all these different things. The nice thing is, and then the other big change is that Kratos is no longer voiced by the normal actor. They got a new voice actor for him. I'm going to see who the old guy is just because.
You don't already know, Mr. God
I
of
knew,
War
but
fan? How
I
dare you?
I forgot.
While you do that, I'm going to play with my favorite guy, the troll. He is so cute. I bet he's probably not this cute in the game.
Terrence Carson. He did Kratos for all the previous games. Now, in this new one is Christopher Judge who's doing him.
Judge.
And the other thing about this one is Cory Barlog is returned as the director for the game. He directed God of War 2 and then took like a hiatus of the God of War series and to come back for this one.
Oh.
So I really like that. When I first started hearing about it, I didn't realize that Cory Barlog had done God of War 2. So I thought he was just like a newcomer to the series. And so I was like, oh, he's going to bring this like breath of fresh air kind of thing to the series. But so I think it's really cool that it's He was there for like the middle game or like one of the first early games, and now he's coming back, and he's the one doing the reimagining.
And he's obviously had years to like think up new stuff, so I feel like he's probably still got a very fresh take on it, even though he's done it before.
Very much so. But so far, I'm loving Christopher Judge's performance, and I've already seen like memes a dozen on the internet about this, because the main interaction of how Kratos talks to Atreus is he just goes, boy. He just calls him boy for everything. Boy. So it's so funny. All this stuff. But anyway, so I'm really loving Christopher Judge's performance as Kratos so far. And then let me see. What else is there? Just want to.
So what is it like to actually, so have you actually commanded Atreus
here's how Atreus works, which is obviously another big difference. Thank you. This is a great segue into more things that are different. So Atreus, his main thing when you first get him and are first able to use him is you just hit square and he'll shoot arrows at the enemies, which can interrupt their attacks, just kind of stun them, or they'll draw them towards him so you can finish fighting with a bigger threat over here.
He's your Palico.
Yeah.
From Monster Hunter World.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And so as you upgrade Atreus, though, he starts getting more skill. Like if you knock somebody on the ground, he'll run over and like start choking them out with his bow. Like some different stuff. But he does all that automatically based on how enemies react to how you attack them. You still command him to attack with the square to shoot arrows. But other than that, he kind of like does his own thing and improvises. Based on what enemies you're fighting, sometimes you'll have to go like rescue him, but for the most part, he just does his own thing. You don't have to worry about it. So I really like that, because sometimes when you feel like you attach this secondary component, like having an AI you're supposed to command, like sometimes in Far Cry, it's like more of an annoyance. Like Far Cry 5, as I've been playing that, it's like, oh my God, like get out of that.
It feels like a dreaded escort mission.
Yeah, kind of thing.
I hate those.
As being that this is a core component of the whole game, yeah, you definitely don't want this feeling like an escort edition.
What if he had like been such a drag on you the whole game?
Right.
That would be unfortunate.
So I've really enjoyed that, how he's not a burden, but he does add this little bit of extra, like he's another weapon in your arsenal. And I think that's great. Another big thing that changes a lot, that's changed from the big one, is there alongside your being able to upgrade your weapon, the Leviathan axe, you can now also craft armor, upgrade armor, add like enchantments or talismans that give you different abilities. You can also add runes into your weapons. All this is different. Like you couldn't do this stuff in the previous God of War. Like I said, you could upgrade the weapon by turning in these orbs, which would then get you like another move or something like that. But now there's so much more customization, so much more to change out in how you interact in battle and fight and get defense. You have like character stats like vitality, defense, and all that your gear and armor gives, either subtracts or adds to different things. Also a little bit more of an RPG element that it throws into the game that hasn't been there in the past. Let's see. So the other big thing that's not different, but I'm liking how it is in this game, is the combat from the post. So in the other ones, it felt very button mashy, like you're
very hack and slash.
Hack and slash. Very much so, and that's what made God of War great.
I was about to say that like seems you just like run it would fit his personality.
Very much so. So like you just run in, like hit the attack button, like square, triangle, because that was in the old ones. It was square was your light attack, triangle was your heavy. And so you can like run in and like hit all these things, jump, like slash people from up in the air.
I really like your movements for this. See, I hope it looks like that.
Well, in the old games, he has his blades on these chains. So he can jump up really high in the air and then like throw down the weapons. And so he's like creating this pinwheel. I can't do that without those. So I'm just...
You just look ridiculous.
Stuck in my chair here. But so the combat is very frenetic, and you have to move. You can't sit still. You can't really hack and slash, because some of your heavier opponents will interrupt your attacks and just like they don't care that you're attacking them and hitting them with your axe. They're just going to attack you anyway and destroy you. And also the attacks come from all sides. Typical, like that can happen in the older games too. But with the more locked third person camera, not this far out view, it's harder to see. So you're like you're moving the camera, you have a quick turn that you can hit the down on the D-pad.
That's probably pretty nice.
You'll like turn around really fast so you can face a threat coming there. They do have threat indicators. Like you'll see like a white arrow kind of thing that's telling you like, hey, there's an opponent over here, but he's just there. If it's red, that means an attack's coming from there. If it's purple, a projectile attack is coming.
That's
so you kind of know all these different things. As of the old games, if you're able to block an attack right at the right moment, you'll kind of like stun, like a stun parry on them, which you can then use to your advantage to do an attack. That's still there with your shield.
I was about to say, can you like shield bash them?
You can.
Parry?
Nice. You can do a whole lot of different stuff. Like you can run it. Like now I've unlocked the ability that if you block and get the parry, you can then hit R1 and he'll like shield bash and send them flying backward.
Nice.
Now you have a ranged combat with the axe. You can throw the axe, have a light and heavy attack there, which can then, if you hit somebody in the head, like a weaker opponent in the head with a throw, they'll sometimes freeze them because it's like a frost attack kind of thing. And then you can still fight bare-fisted on other opponents and then call the axe back and all that. And that's when the opponent will unfreeze. Or you could freeze them, have Atreus shoot them with arrows a little bit, lower their health, run up to them, smash them down.
Is that why the axe,
has
stuff
this
is
flame.
blue?
Yes, on this thing. It's
Because I
supposed to
couldn't
be
figure out
the
if it was
frost
this
attack.
zombie's blood or if it was actually
No.
the coolness.
It's like the
Okay.
frost
Okay,
attack of the axe.
I gotcha.
And so, there have been a lot of great different enemies too. Now, I will say this. I've been trying to play the game on the hard mode, because I just like that with most of these games now. I feel like I have a good feel, but my God.
Is it really difficult?
It's so hard. And it's not even the hardest difficulty. There's like the tell me a story mode, which is the easiest, it's okay. Then there's normal, then there's the hard, and then there's God of War difficulty, which is, it warns you. It's like any other thing. If you're playing on any of these other difficulties, you can change your difficulty at any time. If you play the hardest one, you cannot.
Ooh, I like that little touch. That's nice.
And so I thought about it. I almost started it on the very hardest. I'm like, I'm going to see. I've played God of War before. I know what's up. Oh my God. Like 2 hits, you're dead.
Did you have to restart?
No, I didn't. I just didn't.
Okay.
I went ahead and you know what? I'm going to be safe because I'd heard online reviews that it's actually very hard. So I was like, I'm not going to overestimate my skills here. I'm just going to go with the hard one. But it's so hard. You die. You literally, at the beginning of the game, your health bar's low. You haven't upgraded it. You get hit twice, by a bigger character, dead. And so it's just this, which is good. I like that difficulty, even when you can't take even small enemies for granted. The entry level enemy, you can't if
this
a big
guy?
group,
This guy right here?
the Draugrs and stuff is what they're called.
Is that what he's called?
These are Reavers actually here on the statue, but the Draugr, it's they're the first opponents you fight, but it's they can still, if enough of them gang up on you and you don't time your attack, you don't time your defenses, you're not evading, you're gonna die. So I really like how frenzied and frenetic it is, but not button mashy hack and slash.
Nice.
You can have moves in combos that you can use, but it's all very measured. You have to time it out, do all this different stuff.
You have to actually think about what you're doing instead of just running in willy-nilly.
Swinging around and everything.
Wait,
going
do the
crazy.
motion again. There we go.
Swinging around. So I really appreciate the combat in that regard. The nice thing too that this one does have, because it is such a cinematic game, no load screens and all this other stuff, you can customize how much of your HUD shows. So you could choose to have 0 HUD. It will give you no notifications. If you pick up something off the ground, it's not going to say hack silver plus 100. It's not going to have that kind of stuff. It's not going to show you the attack indicators. It's not going to show you your compass. It's literally just the blank screen of the game.
I feel like I would want to do that if I were playing on the easiest mode.
I would too.
Because basically be tourist mode.
I
just want to.
I tried it on the immersive setting where everything's off. And then I picked up something and it didn't show me what it was. And I was like, oh, I feel like I need to know what that was. So I then just went in, because you can then customize it. It has either the normal setting, the immersive, which turns everything off, or you can customize and choose which ones you want to see.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, I need to at least turn that one on. But then I started getting into the battles and then and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting because Atreus even will be behind you. If somebody's coming up behind you and all this stuff to attack you, but still I was like, I need to learn this game before
once you learn
jump
it a little
into
bit more, you'll be able to turn off more and more of those settings.
Right. So I really, really have enjoyed that. I like that that's an option. I did that with
a killer option.
I did
really
that with
like
Horizon. I turned off a lot of the HUD. It had the option as well to customize the HUD, and I did it very minimal. Basically, just show me the compass at the very top. Show me what the quantity of things that I'm picking up and what resources they are. But outside of that, I don't want to see anything. I
like that a lot.
I do too. It makes for a very immersive gameplay experience.
Exactly.
And so, but yeah, I already know I'm going to want to go through this again, because especially if there's a trophy tied. I mean, obviously, this is going to be a platinum one for me. I don't know how quickly I'm going to want to do it, because I don't know if I'm going to
platinum it. Do you have to beat it on God of War mode?
That's what I'm not quite sure of. I need to double check that.
Buddy.
I don't think so.
Oh, come on!
Because I'm seeing a lot of people.
Be part of the
I'm seeing a lot of people
trophy.
already saying they've platinumed the game. I'm like,
well, probably because they're better
you
than
overachievers. But no. So there's but another thing that's different is there are a lot of side areas that allow for exploration outside the main story. So I got to this one main hub, again, not to be spoilery. I got to this main hub of the map, and there are all these it's here's where you can go to do the main story, or there's all these other exploration areas. I've been derping around in those exploration areas.
Nice.
So I really haven't got that far in the story.
Good.
My buddy Michael is playing the game, and I'm pretty sure he's probably beating it this weekend.
Well, that's because he's not taking his time. Shame on him.
Exactly. But he's like, oh, I feel like I should have gone back and done all these other things.
See, now he's regretting it.
He has gone back. He's told me, like, we were talking about it last night or Friday night, and he was saying, like, he's gone back to do some more with side areas and all this stuff. But yeah, so he's getting close to beating it and everything. So I'll probably have to have him on when we do the review episode, the full review episode.
That would be nice.
But so there are all these side areas and like side quests basically to do. They call them favors. Like there's a shop owner, he'll give you some. You'll discover some throughout your exploration and travels and stuff like that, which is nice. You know, before in the old games there wouldn't really be these side quest things. You just had your main story. There might be a room that had like a chest in it that you would have to fight some extra enemies to unlock the chest, which would give you like a shitload of orbs or something like that, but nothing like this new stuff. Now there are like discoverables, artifacts, collectibles, different things like this that you can go about.
Much like Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Exactly. Just the parallels are uncanny.
They're just out of the wazoo.
So there's a lot of stuff. There's challenges that like kill this many enemies in this way. They're not tied to trophies necessarily, I don't think, but it's still like for extra XP, which then you use to level up your character and unlock skills. So there's good stuff for that. Aside from upgrading Kratos and stuff, you also can upgrade Atreus' armor and attacks and different things like that.
Can you upgrade him to have better hair?
No.
Damn it. He's so ugly.
What? Be nice to the boy. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the big things that I had at this point. Like I said, I'm still needing to really go in and get into more of the story. I think that's kind of going to be my thing today. I think I've decided, okay, I've messed around enough. Like, because
now you need to make some real progress.
Yeah, and I also don't want to unlock every skill. So I'm, a quarter of the way into the game and already have everything to
feel like way too OP too early.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's
I ran
no
into
fun.
that. What game did I run into that with recently? I feel like
Pokemon.
Assassin's Creed Origins. Like, I feel like I was able to get really upgraded. Because I got to where it gives you the warning of, hey, you can't go any further, or else it's gonna go throw you into the end missions of the game. It gives you that like you can't. That like final like, are you sure you want to do this mission now kind of thing? And so I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I want to.
I was like, thank you for the warning,
Because I'm always on these games that especially. I don't ever know how much they're Assassin's Creed. I figured I would be able to have the option to go back, but with God of War, I never know how restricted they're going to make that. We're like, okay, you've cleared this area, you can't go back unless you play the game again.
Dude, I hate it when
I don't know how that's going to be, so that's why I'm super exploratory. I don't want to miss stuff. I don't want to miss a collectible. I don't want to do all this other stuff. And I don't want to look it up to see if that's how the game is, because I don't want a spoiler. I don't, that kind of stuff. Especially with God of War, I have stayed so like silent.
Good,
like
blackout.
Blackout information on it, because I just wanted to be that surprised and be able to enjoy the game that much more. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting into it more. Really wanted to explore more of the realm and unlock more of the map, see what's going to come up in the game, because so far it's hitting all the right buttons for me. Like I know everybody is applauding this game. And
I really wish that you were the one person out here going, boo, it sucks.
No, but like I know.
Do you need me to be that person?
I don't know.
I'll play it and I'll find something to complain about.
You will indeed.
I will indeed.
But no, so I mean, I'm trying not to let the reviews and scores and everything for the game that have come out already to like
influence
me.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it's pretty damn great. So we'll see what it is. The only other thing I mentioned, I haven't listened to it yet for the same reason. Tracking the listings can give spoilers. But from what I've heard in game, the soundtrack by Bear McCreary is so good. I've touched about this a little bit when I was saying like that's like the only video before the game release that I did watch that was his like the inside the music thing where it talked about him finding this like Icelandic choir to do that can sing in Old Norse and all this to do. It's great. Like the music at the beginning during like his wife's funeral and all that, super emotional, super in depth, and just very melodic and orchestral. It's great. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And of course, as soon as the game released, then Mondo here, they're like, hey, guess what? We've got a special vinyl vinyl edition of the soundtrack. It's like, I need that. So I'm looking forward to, as I get more into being able to finally listen more to that soundtrack in its entirety by itself, separate from the game, because I'm really looking forward to enjoying that as well. But as of now, those are my first impressions and thoughts of God of War. Any questions that you may have?
Currently, no.
Okay.
Most of my questions were about my favorite little troll guy here.
So the trolls are sons of bitches to be. They are real hard.
How dare you talk about my son that way? Don't ever talk to me and my son ever again.
They are quite difficult, and they're apparently you just like discover them as you go in your travel. I believe. Yeah, there's quite a few of them out there, and they all have different abilities or like different. Like I fought a fire troll once. And it was pretty
so they're
difficult.
elemental
things and different
Very
stuff
cool.
like that. So yes, there's the
Which element is this one?
I don't know. Not a whole lot of descriptive stuff.
It looks
going on
like
there.
he's rock element.
Or like ice, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
Frost.
he's blue.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that pops
he's
up.
the element of adorable.
That little form.
I wish that there were
Wait till you see
one.
him in the game. He's terrifying.
He's terrifying.
But yeah, so far loving it. Really excited to get more into the main story. Really tear into that and get to the game's ultimate conclusion, which I have no doubt will probably be pulling at the heartstrings a little bit. So
Probably.
be interested to see where it ranks in my. I'm still trying to nail down my top 10.
Yeah, we need to revisit that sometime because we've
do you have
played a
yours?
lot of games.
Do you
My
know
top
you're
10?
like top 10?
Hell no.
Okay, we need to work on that.
Yeah, we need to work
Let's work on that, and then we can have like a whole episode that we just
That
talk
can
about
be like
our
our
top 10s.
New Year's resolution. We need
be a good
more
one.
than one episode for that.
That's true. I mean, not like go like super, but like have the list and then just like start like, okay, what's your 10?
Like
what's my 10?
we would say that it's
That's
not going to
true.
go super long,
And then it'd be like a
we would
5-hour episode.
Yeah.
That's true. That would be pretty long.
We
But
could
yeah,
just
we need to work on
break
that
it
because
into chunks.
like more thing, like I haven't totally decided where like Life is Strange falls in my top 10, but I
man.
know it's in my top 10.
God.
You know, Horizon and Last of Us, like I'm wondering, like, is God of War going to be a game that might potentially top one of those two, you know, just in how it's been received and how I'm already feeling about it? I don't know. It's just a big thing.
Decisions, right?
It really is. Yeah. It really is. But that concludes my first impressions of God of War. All right, well, before we go, we do have to do this week's soundtrack spotlight. And the track for this week was given to us by one of our patrons, Riven Rise Against. And the game that he suggested for us was Guitaru Man.
Indeed. An old PlayStation 2 game that I have literally never heard of before in my life, but the OST is apparently very popular because when you YouTube Guitaru Man, like in the search bar, the OST is the first thing that comes up.
Oh, there you go.
So he just gave us free reign to choose whichever track from the OST we wanted, and I was particularly fond of B-Jam Blues.
There we go.
So that's what's going to close us out today.
And so it was composed by it says here that on its Wikipedia page that it was that the soundtrack was composed by the Japanese band Coil. So, Guitaru Man?
Guitaru Man.
Guitaru Man, what was the song again?
B-Jam Blues.
B-Jam Blues by Coil. That is your soundtrack spotlight for this week. And with that, that concludes this episode of Team Chat Podcast. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We'll see you all next time. Stick around for the song.